Imagine this for a second. One single explosion so powerful that it could shatter windows hundreds of miles away, shake the Earth itself, and make even the people who dropped it unsure if they would survive. This isn't science fiction, senor. This actually happened. And today, you're about to understand why the Tsar bomba remains the most terrifying weapon ever detonated in human history. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll see nuclear power in a way you probably never have before. When most Americans think about nuclear weapons, Hiroshima and Nagasaki immediately come to mind. And for good reason. Those two bombs changed the course of history, killing more than 320,000 people when you include both the immediate explosions and the long-term effects of radiation. They also marked the end of World War II and quietly opened the door to something far darker, the Cold War. What many people don't realize is that as horrific as those bombs were, they were tiny compared to what came next. The bombs dropped on Japan had explosive powers of about 15 and 21 kilotons. That number already sounds abstract, but it means the energy equivalent of thousands of tons of TNT. Now take that scale and multiply it until it almost stops making sense. The Tsar bomba, developed by the Soviet Union, had a yield of 58 megatons. That's roughly 3,300 times more powerful than the bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Let that sink in for a moment. One device, one detonation. More destructive power than thousands of World War II-era nuclear bombs combined. If the Tsar bomba had been dropped on a major city, the destruction would be almost impossible to fully describe. Entire metropolitan regions would have been wiped out instantly. The shockwave alone could flatten structures hundreds of kilometers away. Fires would merge into massive firestorms, and the psychological impact on humanity would likely have been permanent. Even the scientists who helped design it understood that this was not a practical weapon. It was a message. And that message was delivered on October 30th, 1961, in one of the most remote places on Earth. The Soviet Union chose Novaya Zemlya, a frozen archipelago deep in the Arctic, far from major population centers. Not because the explosion would be contained, but because there was simply nowhere else on the planet safe enough to test something this powerful. When the bomb detonated, it created a mushroom cloud unlike anything ever seen before. The cloud rose so high that it nearly touched the edge of space, reaching around 60 kilometers into the atmosphere. The fireball itself was so massive that it could be seen from over 1,000 kilometers away. Windows shattered hundreds of miles from the blast, even in places that were never meant to be affected. On the ground, the force of the explosion triggered seismic activity equivalent to a magnitude 5 earthquake. Think about that. A man-made weapon caused the Earth to physically shake as if nature itself had struck back. Buildings more than 200 kilometers away were damaged or completely destroyed. And this wasn't even the bomb at full strength. Here's where it gets even more unsettling. The original design for the Tsar bomba was supposed to be 100 megatons, twice as powerful as what was actually detonated. Soviet scientists intentionally reduced its yield because they feared the consequences would be uncontrollable. Even at half power, it was already pushing the limits of what the planet could handle. So how was this weapon so different from the bombs used in World War II? The answer lies in how it works. Traditional atomic bombs rely on nuclear fission. That means splitting heavy atoms like uranium, releasing energy in a violent chain reaction. The Tsar bomba, however, was a thermonuclear weapon, a hydrogen bomb, and that changes everything. Instead of splitting atoms, it fused them together. Nuclear fusion is the same process that powers the sun. Under extreme heat and pressure, atomic nuclei combine, releasing vastly more energy than fission ever could. To start this process, a smaller atomic bomb is used as a trigger. That initial explosion creates the conditions needed for fusion to begin. In other words, the Tsar bomba was a bomb that used another bomb just to get started. This two-stage design made it exponentially more powerful and far more terrifying. And yet, despite all this, the bomb wasn't built to be used in war. It was built to intimidate. At the height of the Cold War, the Soviet Union wanted the United States to understand one thing very clearly. They were capable of ending civilization if pushed too far. The delivery of the bomb was just as dangerous as the weapon itself. A modified Tu-95 bomber carried the Tsar bomba to its drop point. The crew knew the risks. They were given only a 50% chance of survival. To increase their odds, the bomb was equipped with a massive parachute, slowing its descent and giving the aircraft precious seconds to